Now, let's talk about the basics. So the first thing you want to do, let's say you don't have these walls in, you want to start a project. So it's very good to know what levels you have, how many levels you have. And let's say you know them, you will just define them here. But if you don't, you can always go back and add more stuff. But for now, the default will give me two levels, one at 0, the other one as 4,000. I want to make it 3,000 just to change that. The way to do it is to just select on it, click on the number, and change that to 3,000. If I want to add new levels, I can just copy this above. I selected that, press CO, and now I'm moving it up. I could also hold Control and drag it up. It will also copy for me. Then I can go back and change these numbers if I need, saying, okay, I want this to be at, I don't know, 7,000, and this to be at 12. The other thing that is very important is that, yes, when you have a two-story building, you have a level for the ground, you have a level for the second story, but in Revit, it also makes sense to have a level for you could have it for under the ceiling, above the roof, or my maximum height, or below the foundation. As soon as you want to address something in an elevation and in a height, it's good to have a level defined for it. So if I have a level defined for my footings, I can say, okay, all the footings are at this level. So I will copy this down to minus, I don't know, minus 1,000, and that's my base of the footing. And then whenever I want to put something there, it's easily accessible through that. So I don't need to worry too much about it. A few other things that these things will show up when you are showing elevations and sections. You can move them around and using this little guy over here, and as you can see, they are locked, so all of them will move together. If you unlock them, then it is still locked, but if you unlock them, you should be able to move just one of them out, which probably you don't want to do. So you probably want to make sure that they're all locked and connected. The other thing that you could do is that if you add some dimensions between them, like that, then again, you can lock some certain dimensions. Let's say I want to lock this 4-meter thing, and then I decide to move this up. You see the 4-meter is fixed, the other two are changing. So you can lock dimensions as well. So if I want to make sure this level is always 4 meters, but I don't really care about the other two levels, I will lock that, and then I'll move things around. Maybe I want to lock more things, so I can lock this and that. Now my overall height is changing, and my ground floor's height is also changing. So that's also a tool that is useful sometimes. One more thing to have in mind is that when we go back and draw things, we will define where any of these elements belong to. Let's say I draw a wall for my level 2, which is this guy. Whenever in the future I go back and move this number from 3,000 to something else, all those elements will move with it. So if I have a second floor drawn on my level 2 and I change this a meter above, it will move everything else with it. So it's a very useful tool to be set nicely. That was for elevation. Then as soon as you have these guys, you can go to those levels from your floor plans. I'll show you how to add those here. But the other thing you can set is your grid lines. You can do them from the beginning, but a lot of times because our designs are not really following a very defined grid, and we decide on how the grids are in the future, we probably don't need them from the beginning. But if you want, and if it's a more rectangular or normal project like what you see as built, a housing or something very simple, you can start with setting up the grid from the beginning. Okay, next thing is the walls. So as soon as you, okay, before going to the walls, I'm just going to show you how to add the levels to your views. So under the view, you can add plan views. So under view, plan views, floor plans, it will show you everything that you don't have there, and you can add them. And if you want to duplicate the existing stuff, you just need to uncheck this, and then you can duplicate the things that are already existing in your floor plans. So level 3, 4, and 5, I added in my elevation view, but I don't have them in plan view. I go under view, plan views, floor plans, and I add them, and now they show up over here. So I can go to any of them that I need. For now, I'm just going to stay on my level 1. Back to the walls. So as soon as I'm over wall, I have two options. We talked about them last time. Wall by face, we'll see probably in the last tutorial, but architectural wall is something very easy that you can just start working with. So you click on the wall, then as soon as you click this, this thing will be greened out for you. So these are some properties that you can select before drawing stuff. So what is my height? I want it to go from level 1 to level 2, so it's connected to level 2. Then I'm drawing the wall center line. I don't have any offsets. I don't have any radiuses, and I'm drawing in chains. The chain means if I select one wall, the next wall will continue in that chain, and if it's not a chain, it will draw separate walls for me. So just to show you that it's on a chain, it is drawing a chain of walls for me, and if it's not on a chain, it will do this, then do this, then do that. Okay, questions? All good? Okay. All right. Okay, so when you're drawing the walls, you look at the options first to make sure they are what you need them to be. Then you look at your properties to make sure you have the right wall type selected. And again, some of these properties down here are what you need. Please go ahead and look at these properties and explore them. But there are a few things that are more important than the other ones. So base constraint, what is the level I'm drawing this on? So I'm drawing this on level 1. I could be drawing it on a different level. What is the base offset? So it doesn't need to attach to the same level. It could be a little bit higher or lower. Same thing for the top. It could go to level 2 or level 3, whatever I pick. And then I could also define a top offset for it. I could also say that I want it to be unconnected and define a height for the wall that I'm drawing. And then as soon as I draw a wall, it will follow those properties that I'm given it. So as you can see in this tree view, this wall is 4 meters, and these walls were just going between level 1 and level 2. And on an elevation view, you can see them better. So between level 1 and 2 are those walls that I drew first, and this wall that was unconnected and 4 meters tall is sitting there. Okay, there are two types of properties that you're dealing with. The first one is the type properties that, we talked about last time, that are accessible through editing a type. If I select this guy, it's a 200 millimeter generic wall. If I go in and change something in my edit type tool, it will be applied to all the walls from that type. So that's a type property. Some other things are instance properties that are only talking to one element that is selected. So let's say I have this guy selected, it's going from level 1 to 2. If I change that, it's only going to apply to that one element. So let me just change it for now, unconnected, and make it a 5,000 wall. And then you can see in my 3D view that only this wall has changed. Whereas if I had changed something in the type property mode, then all of the same types would change with it. Okay, you could also draw with dimensions. So when I click on wall and I'm trying to draw something, first I will aim to the direction I want, then I would type in the dimension I want to have, and I press enter, it will give me the wall with that specific dimension. And then when I'm done drawing, when I select something, it will give me some other dimensions that I can always go back in and change, and it will change what I've drawn accordingly to that. You could also define where these things are measured from. So let me just copy this down here and also down there. Okay, so when I select this guy, you can see it's measuring from this center to that center and giving me this number. If I click on this guy, it's going from exterior to interior and again to center, same thing for that. So if I click, it will go from exterior, interior, and center. I could also select and drag it to something else. So it is giving me a dimension between this point and that point, and then I can change that. So these are temporary dimensions that Revit shows you just for editing stuff. And if you want to have that as a permanent dimension, you can click on this guy, and now you have a dimension drawn on your thing. Um, okay. The other thing is that now I've got a few walls here. I want to select them all. And then I can see some of these that are not showing up is because they're not the same property. So I want to just go in and change them so that make sure they're all within the same properties that I've defined and they all match each other. Now it looks like the heights are now all the same. I'll go back, Control Tab. And then when you have something selected, it will take you to the modify tool. Anything through here is the general modify stuff that you will see all the time. Anything past that line to the right is case specific for only that element you have selected. So that now it's showing me wall tools there, but these are the generic modify tools. So I want to do a few trims. My wall selected, I've got this tool, which is a trim. Click on that and click on this. It will um, trim extend to that corner. I could extend multiple lines to one wall. So I would click on this guy, which is extend multiple, select this line and extend my walls to match that. Those are some of the things you will use. A lot of times you can also align stuff. So let's say the angle of this and that I want to match. I would say I want to align this and that, and it will do it for me. Then I can also move it around. Let's say I want to copy this guy over here. I want to do a few more trims like that. I could also just select the wall and move it around to make sure it's right. It's always safer to use the tools. So if I do trim and make that corner happen, I'm pretty sure that it just cuts the extra. But if I'm holding this down, I know that it's pretty much safe, but I may be also doing a little bit of angling and I may miss that. So it's a little bit risky sometimes to do this. And it says frozen. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll do the trim over here. Okay, you guys all good? Yes. Yes. Okay. We talked about the exterior of the walls and what that means. So these two arrows shows where the exterior of the wall is. If you wanted to change that, you can just click on it. And to just make it more obvious, I'm gonna change the wall type to something that has a definition of exterior and interior. Let's say that brick wall. You can see the exterior looks like that, the interior looks like this. So if I go to my level 1 and click on this guy, now I can match all the exterior. So wherever these two arrows are is the exterior. So now this is all exterior and that is interior. I need to fix this too. And these are interior, these are fine. These walls do not have any exterior face, so I should probably select a different wall type for them that does not have that issue. Okay, that was walls. Let's talk about windows a little bit. So windows, same as walls. You can just select them, choose the type you want to draw, or load more families in. So anything you're drawing, you can load a family for it. Revit has a good library that comes with it as a default. You can also go online and change and search for, I don't know, window, Revit, family, and then it will not Revit. And then it will take you to a lot of different websites. Some of them are just Revit websites, and some of them are actual manufacturers that produce these windows and will give you the files to take in and put into your project. So if there's something specific that you need and is not on Revit, you can go find it online and download the file and just copy it somewhere for yourself. Or you could also, and then to load that, you need to press on load family and show where the file is saved. There, you can also access Revit's default library that is under your program data, Autodesk Revit libraries in Canada. It will be there by default. So as soon as you press on load family, it will open this window for you. Then you can go under Windows and select whatever you need, or you can also select all of them and load them in. It will take a few moments. Override existing versions, sure. So after the thinking is done, it is loading the families in. So basically each family you load into a Revit file is its own file sitting somewhere. So make sure you have a good file organization for that. So if you're working on a project and you're finding stuff online and importing to your project, make sure you save them somewhere that you can always go back and access. And if you lose that file, you may lose that in your Revit project as well. So make sure you have them. Okay, now that I have loaded more window types, you can see there are a lot of more options for me here to select from. It's my first time seeing some of these, so I'll just pick this new guy and place it on the walls. Okay, same as walls. When you select your window, you have a series of properties that you can define, where it's sitting, what's the seal height, what's the head height, and all that kind of thing. And you could also change that afterwards. When you have your windows drawn, you can move them around, you can change the numbers. You can say I don't want it to be on level 1, I want it to be on level 2. If you have a wall there, it will go there. The difference between windows and walls is that windows are hosted by walls, so they can't exist independently. They need a wall so that they can live on it. On my plan view, I can see that I have all my windows here. Let me just go select on my walls. So if I select everything under filters, I can check none and just select walls. I want to change my wall types to generic. Okay, now I've got my windows here, so all 3 of the windows are selected. I can select one of them and see the dimension and change that. I can also go in and draw a dimension center to center to center, and as soon as I move them around, you see the numbers are different. I can click on my dimension and press on EQ, then they're equalized between the distances are equal. So if I move something, it will try to match it with the rest of the drawing so that the distances are always equal. That's also an interesting tool that are useful sometimes. Same thing for doors. You can go under doors, you can load your families, you can find them online, you can select what you want, and then you can place them wherever you need on the project. Then next thing is the floors. Did we show any floors last time? I think we did. Okay, so when you go under architecture and floors, you can start drawing a floor. Do you guys have any questions so far? No? Anything? Comments? Is it fast, slow, boring? You want to leave? You're sleeping, hungry, anything? All good? Okay, hopefully. All right, so when you're trying to draw a floor, it will give you these tools. So you can pick a line or you can pick a wall to draw that. You could also draw a shape. So let's say I want to have a floor that is just a rectangle. I'll do that. It will give me a rectangular floor. But it's also easier to select the lines and then go around. I could same way. I could just select the walls, and then it would define my center lines and would give me the floor based on those. Or even easier than that, I could have my floors, go pick a line, stand here, and press tab, and it will take me around the whole thing. And as soon as I click, it will give me the whole floor. So I don't need to go and click them one by one. Just by tab, it will show me all the selection options that I have available to myself. Now I have a floor that you can see is down there. Similar to anything else that we're doing, the floor has a type. We are defining as 400 millimeters thick. We are defining where the floor is standing, what's the base offset. So let's say it is now hanging down there for 400 millimeters, and that's really bothering us. We want it to be inside the wall. So either I can select my wall and say my base, I want it to be minus 400 offset so that it covers that. Or I would go select my floor and say I want it to be 400 offsets to the top, and then it will hide that inside. So one of the two would solve that issue, and for now I'm not going to do any of them. Then the next tool is the roofs. So very similar to the floor, I can do a roof by footprint. It will ask me where I want it to be. I would say level 2. Then I would go pick the walls. I'll go around and just press tab so it selects the whole perimeter. I click on it and it is drawing the walls for me. Do you guys remember what those triangles were? Yeah, okay. The slopes, from some of the noddings, I guess you guys are already bored and I'm very slow, so I'll try to be a bit faster. Okay, so I select all of them, don't define a slope, only one of them defines the slope, and it's a 30-degree slope. I'll say okay. I will go to a 3D view to see what it's giving me. That's my roof that it has defined. I have this interesting tool in my walls that I can connect them to the roof. So I will select all my walls. I will go there, check none, walls, select them. I can say attach top, click on this guy, and then here attaching walls to the top is different than base. I also have that option, but for now I want to attach it to the top, and then I pick my roof. It will not do it for all of them, for some of them only. And the reason is it's not overlapping, so they're very tight on the edge. So probably I need to go back to a view that I can see my roof, double click on it, and the reason was that it's sitting inside, so I want them to be sitting outside. So just to make sure I have them all on the outside, or even offset it out a little bit on some areas. Then okay. Now that when I go to a 3D view and I select the walls, this time it should work because now we have some overlaps. So walls attached to the top. There we go. So it connects the whole thing to the top. Now because I've got more walls, I can potentially copy my windows and say instead of level 1, I want them to be on level 2. Or I can move them back to level 1 and just go copy them, click on this guy, and then when I want to paste, I say, I want you to paste them to a selected level. So I would say, I want you to paste them on level 2 and level 3, so we'll repeat them over there. All right. The other thing that you can do for roofs is a roof by extrusion that will let you to draw the profile of the roof. So if I go do that, I need to pick a plane. I'll say maybe this is my plane. And then I start to draw something that would define my profile of the roof. And I can, with the same tools, I can use this guy as my roof if I wanted to. But for now, I'm pretty happy with what I have, so I'll just delete this. Okay. The other thing is you can do openings. So you can do vertical and horizontal openings from this architecture tab. They are void objects that you would draw. So you can do a wall opening. You would pick a wall and you would draw something on it, and it will be an opening on that wall. You could also do vertical openings. You would define your surface and then you would draw a piece on it. and I will cut that hole through. It's not a good idea to work in 3D because you don't know where you're drawing things. And then you could also draw shafts that are independent of um, your elements, but you're cutting through them. So if I draw a shaft here, then I can go to my 3D view, and I can see it's cutting through only the floors and the roofs, and that portion of the wall that is not connected to the floor, to the roof anymore. Okay, the last thing on this section. When we are drawing things in Revit, we draw them as we are trying to build them. So let's say you want to draw a I don't know, a closet. There's no component as a closet that you can grab and put in, but you just actually think, okay, there's a wall here, there's another wall, then there's a wall in the front. I put a door to have my closet door at the front, and that's how I build my closet. So a lot of things that you want to draw in Revit, think as how you would build them. Then you could use those elements to build. So let's say you want to do a planter somewhere in the landscape, you need to draw the walls that are shorter and then define the ground and anything as you were building it. Sometimes you don't have the components to put in. You would actually just go to all those elements and draw them. Okay.